So recently, Etsy had a crackdown on some coupon abuse, and an article came out about it. And I want to dig into it because I think it's an interesting thing that's happening, and also what Etsy is doing about it. So, Chris, if you could pull that article up and we can go ahead and dig in and see exactly what is going on here, that would be great. So it looks like here it is. So why don't you kind of run us through like what's going on here and what is Etsy talking about?
Yeah. So, Scott, one of the complaints that we've gotten for the longest time from sellers, or concerns, I guess, as it comes to the way that they've handled what we refer to as the internal marketing triggers, right?
Yep.
The thank you coupons and the abandoned cart coupons, is that buyers can take advantage of these things, right? Oh my God, somebody's going to use my 5% off discount or my 10% off discount. And that code never changes. That code never expires. So it's the end of the world that I'm getting more sales, even though I'm still making money, right? Obviously, I'm exaggerating that just to make a point, because we don't really think that that was a huge problem to begin with. But what Etsy has announced, and we've talked about this a little bit, and they still haven't given us an official launch date for this, but it should be rolling out within the next few weeks based on what they've said, is that they're making changes to help their active sellers remove that as a concern, right? So they're, instead of sending out one coupon code to everybody, save 10% or Scott 20, right? Whatever you set that coupon code up to be, they're going to start sending individual and expirable codes for these things. And basically what they're saying is, there's two different types of codes on Etsy. The first they're referring to as coupons, which are funded by Etsy and they're only sent to certain buyers. The other ones are shop coupons, which are set up by individual sellers. And that's really what we talk about most when we talk about coupons or promo codes on Etsy, are those shop coupons, right? The things that you can't stack a bunch of them together, but people are still concerned that it is something people could take advantage of, especially if they give a heck of an abandoned cart discount at 30% or whatever it is.
Right.
If that coupon doesn't expire, then somebody can take advantage of that. And so what Etsy is saying is, look, we're going to give you more tools and more capability to really be able to control this as a seller. And they're still going to be doing the Etsy coupons. They're making some changes there as well. But Scott, before I dive into kind of a little bit more of this, what are your thoughts on getting rid of the one size fits all coupons and moving to more of a expirable or individual coupon style?
Well, yeah, it's interesting that it's coming across as they're doing it because there was like misuse of the coupons. I look at it as this should have been done years ago, not for the misuse. Because let's face it, Chris, you and I have talked about it. Do we care if someone reuses one of our coupons? Like, we don't care, right? And my thing is when they announced this, I personally took it as like, wow, Etsy's getting a little more sophisticated with their, with their coupons. They're putting, or they're giving us the option to basically make these expire, which I think is brilliant because from a marketing side of it, it's going to make people want to use them faster, which is going to increase sales. So I didn't look at it as like, oh, Etsy's going to crack down on coupons being misused, right? I'm like, I didn't really look at it that way, but I look at it the other way and I'm like, oh, that's a smart thing to do, not just for the misuse. Now I get it, right? You're going to have where people are like, well, I didn't want them to use the coupon 6 months from now. And it's like, oh, sorry, they found it and they used it in an old email or something. I think it's a great thing, not for the misuse, but for the marketing side of it, that I think it's going to drive more sales.
And so the question that I have here is there anybody in our comments here that thinks this will not drive more sales? Because one of the things, Scott, that really stood out to me is Modern Retail went out and they got some comments from different people. They say, while these promotions might help build sales, right, they're not designed to be used in perpetuity. Sellers found that customers are misusing coupons by passing them on to people or applying them to more than one order. And the example that they give a little bit further down in the article, Scott, is they're like, yeah, they might show up on coupon sites, which for anybody who's been around in the e-commerce world, that that's kind of the bane of your existence, right?
Yeah.
You put together a screaming deal and you forget to put an expire code on it and then retail me not. All of a sudden, you're like losing 40% on every order on your website. You're like, I don't know what's going on here. So first things first, general advice for creating coupons is you should never create a coupon where you're going to lose your shirt.
Exactly.
Right? Like, make it break even at worst, and then you don't have to worry about it. If you want to do something super special, super specific, then look at something that's expirable, and maybe don't put that in your abandoned cart offers, even after they offer this more individualized
Right.
and expirable type of a thing. But just keep that in mind, because everybody's like, oh yeah, Scott, you say you run a sale and a discount, so I'm going to mark my stuff down 80%. And then you make too many sales and you're like, oh my God, I just blew $5,000, right? Like, we have to keep our margins into consideration here. The other thing, Scott, that popped up here, and I wanted to get your feedback on this because we addressed this a little bit, was somebody responded and said, hey, I see people using it on every single order. And that to me means they're abusing it. And it makes me want to get rid of this altogether. So for people who have that reaction, because that's not the react, we would love people to buy our stuff because our coupons are created that way. Is there any validity to that? Or like, what are your thoughts on whether or not that is an abuse of the coupon? And is it something that you're okay with? I know generally you're okay with people using it over and over again, but if you saw a buyer using it on every single order and they ordered from us once a week, would that start to bother you?
Yes, it would. It would, because then the coupon didn't really, I didn't follow through on what I was saying, right? Like, a coupon should not, like, there's no store that's giving you a coupon that lasts forever, right? And if someone did it once or twice, you're like, oh, okay, they're a repeat customer, whatever. But then I'd be like, okay, I mean, they know I'm a small business. They probably, shouldn't do that, right? Like, I'd be thinking that. But I think this helps us, right? This eliminates that problem, because you're going to be able to now put an expiration date on it. Brilliant, right? Like, problem solved, Etsy. Thank you so much. And you're going to help us increase our sales, because that's what's going to happen. And it's funny because we just had someone in the comments who's worked in sales for a long time, big box, and says, it will drive more sales. I come from big box retail background. It works like magic. Of course it does. Look at Black Friday, right? Look at Cyber Monday. Like, that's all, they're coupons in a sense, right? And it goes on to say, this is brilliant, but this needs to work like this. 1, coupon has an expiration date. 2, Etsy needs to send notifications about a coupon expiring soon. Yes. And I'm with you on that. Are they going to do it? I'm not going to hold my breath, because I think Etsy's a little bit behind on their marketing stuff, but I think that should be like the bare minimum. I think what they should do, if they hired me as the chief marketing guy, I would tell them that they should send out 3 emails. 1 when they get it, second one reminding them that it's almost going to expire, and then the last one, hey, just a reminder, it's going to expire tonight. And I bet you the sales will go through the roof.
Now, okay, so theoretically, Scott, putting an expiration date on this will solve that abuse issue.
Yep.
But if one of the triggers is an abandoned cart and somebody really wants to use their coupon, unless Etsy changes the way that they do abandoned carts, all I have to do is go in, add the product to my cart, leave, wait for you to send me the new individualized coupon, and come back, right? So we don't know how they're going to handle that. And it doesn't necessarily solve the abuse side of this, right? The abuse concern. The real way to solve that is by expiring them so that somebody can't use them, and setting those percentages at a place where you're encouraging them to purchase, but not losing your shirt, right? And that is still the thing. Like, even if they make all the changes that we want to see, they give us 100% control over this. If somebody's really determined to do it, they're always going to do it. So we need to keep that in mind as sellers and just set ourselves up for success. But I think the most important thing here is that deadline. We need to be looking at that not as a reason that people are going to be abusing it less. That deadline is really to encourage sales. And we see a few of the Etsy sellers that responded to this were actually able to channel that, whether they did it from that perspective or from a different perspective. And one of the ones that stood out to me was Carissa Hawk said, putting an expiration date on coupon could actually help increase sales, right? I think people forget about them because they never end, right? Well, yeah, because all Etsy does at this point is send out one thing that's like, hey, you got a coupon code, or there's what's the push notification say? Something to the effect of, there's a discount on something in your cart, right? It says something like that when you go into the app. And after you clear that out, unless somebody goes in and changes their internal marketing offers every 60 days, you don't get another notification about it. You don't know that it's there. And so if you don't act on it right away, then you lose out on that benefit. The expiration of this adds that urgency. And we always use the Kohl's Cash example. For those of you guys who are US people, right? Kohl's is a big department store. They sell a lot of clothes. They have a customer loyalty program called Kohl's Cash, right? And the standard joke of everybody who has a spouse or significant other who loves shopping at Kohl's is they always come home and they don't think about how much they spent. They think about how much they saved, right? That was always my mom's like, oh, I didn't spend $300. I saved $900.
Right.
No, you spent $300. They
Right.
also gave you a discount of $900 off of their randomly priced things, right? But in addition to that, they give you a little gift certificate for store credit, right? That they call Kohl's Cash. And that has an expiration date on it. Guess what happens every time one of those expires? My mom goes back to Kohl's, right? And she buys something to make sure that guess what she gets at the checkout? Another Kohl's Cash certificate that's going to expire in a month or 2 months. Yep. And she keeps them in her wallet and she goes, she goes grocery shopping, whatever. She goes, oh, that's going to expire. She pops over to Kohl's instead of going anywhere else to buy the clothes or some of the home goods stuff that they sell. And so that expiration date really is the key to this. And I think people are more focused, even the Modern Retail article, almost this entire article is focused on the coupon abuse and not on the real seller benefit, which is not, we have a few people who are bad actors. Those people are still going to figure out a way to do this.
Sure.
Right. But the real seller benefit here, at least in my opinion, is that increase in urgency as long as Etsy is following up on the back end to say, hey, it's expiring, right? They're hammering that expiration date. If they don't do that, then it doesn't really help either of these issues, at least in my mind.
Yep. No, I love it. Yeah. So again, this is, it's played as, it's misuse. It's, it's hurting the Etsy seller, which some could look at it that way. But regardless, this is a good thing. This is a great thing, not just for the misuse thing. I think, that fixes that problem, but it creates a great opportunity for us Etsy sellers. And who knows where this will go or what kind of other features will be built into it as far as, can we make it limited to one person by their IP address? Like, we don't know that stuff yet. But right now, the beginning of this, I'm excited about it because I do think it is going to help us increase our sales. People that are customers are going to get this coupon that you get to set up and it will expire. So you get that. The second thing is you get the add to cart. Someone adds it to their cart. You have that where it's going to have an expiration date on it. And the third thing is when someone favorites an item, they're going to get a coupon that will encourage them to buy. So you have 3 different ways that this is going to be used. Really excited about it. And I'm curious. Come on back after this thing rolls out and let us know in the comments how it worked for you.